What you're looking at here is my sales and profits report, and I have all my customers grouped by the book title or the book that they purchased, like in this example, 101 Pizza Combinations. We have the customer Feeders Catering who bought 6, Ghost Hunters 5, and so on. Then we have the total sales for that book title, and then what we have in stock and on order. What I want to do here is create a custom calculated field just to the right of these two that has the total inventory for that book, so that it'll add up the in stock plus the on order. So to go ahead and create that total inventory custom calculated field, let's right click in a blank area, go to the design view, and before we do that, let's go over what we're looking at here. We've got the book title header section, which is grouping all the customers by book title. And so we got the text box fields here, and we've got the labels for the customers, well, the customer name with the customer text box field, and then we've got the quantity sold with its data field down below, transaction date, the label for the sales date, and then the order ID label for the order ID data field. And then below that we have the book title footer, meaning that at the end of that group, at the footing of it, you're going to get the total sold, what you have in stock, and on order before it goes over to the next group or the next book title. And over to the right, I want to go ahead and add the total inventory custom calculated field. To do that, I want to go ahead and insert the text box by coming up here on the Design tab, going to the Controls group, and clicking on Controls. And there it is, text box. Click on it. And remember that you want to give yourself enough space and not get right up close to something else, because if you do, when you click on it, it's going to add a label over to the left-hand side and over to the right, an unbound text box. So I want to give myself enough space that when I click, there you go, the label doesn't end up in this mess right here. So first off, let's look at the label. I don't know if you can see that, but the default text is, I think, text 143. So let's go ahead and change that. You can go ahead and select it, then click on it again and edit the contents therein. You can do it that way, or if you double click on the border really fast, you can bring up the property sheet for that label, and you can see here on the Alt tab, the name of the label, for me, the designer, in the back end view here, is label 144. Well, what's 144? I don't know. So let's go ahead and clean that up and leave the prefix label, but call it like label TI for total inventory. Let's go ahead and hit enter. That way when I'm, working in the design view and I'm like, okay, where's the total inventory label? Well, you can come up here, click on the drop down arrow, and the prefix is labels, so we're looking for a label, and there it is, TI. Select it, takes you right to it. And then for the front end user, we don't want the caption text 143, this is total inventory, so that ain't gonna work. Let's get rid of that. Delete it, and then type in total inventory and hit enter. And then let's close out to take a look at it, and it's being cut off. It can't squeeze in that teeny tiny box. So let's go ahead and hover over the right middle resizing handle until I can see arrows pointing in opposite directions. And then you can click and drag out. And when you're clicking and dragging, notice down below on the status bar, it'll show you how many characters there are. So if I come up here and I click and drag, see that? Got a total of 12 characters. And if I keep going to the right, it'll allow 13 characters, 14, and well, it's just a one-liner. So if I go ahead and hover over the bottom middle resizing handle and click and drag down, and I open it up enough that allows 2 lines, you can see down below in the status bar that it's 2 lines. So, well, let me do that and undo it. And instead, hover over the right middle resizing handle, double click really fast to do a best fit. Cool, that looks good. And let's go ahead and right click and go to the print preview. Okay, the color. Well, you can leave it as is, but if you want your label to be the same color as these other labels, I've got some tips, tricks, and shortcuts that I want to go over and how you can, take the color here and apply it to this label here. To do that, let's right click and go to the design view. And one way to do it is just to go ahead and select the label that you want to pull the color from and double click on the border to bring up its property sheet. And on the Alt tab, go down to look for color, and there we go. So go ahead and click and drag and select that code there, and do Control C to copy. And then we can come over here and select the label that we want to apply that color to. On the Alt tab, there it is, color. Click in there, highlight it, and then Control V as in Victor to paste it. Hit enter, and let me close out to check it out. And hey, it's the same color. Okay, that works. That's one way. Another way, well, let me go ahead and hit undo. So we're back to orange. Let me come up here and click on the Format tab. is that you can use the paintbrush, the Format Painter, which I go over extensively in my word training video. But to give you just a brief overview, what it does is that it'll take it with whatever label or text box you selected, and it'll dip the brush in there and pull out only the formatting. Then you can brush or apply to, in this case, this label here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to choose our paint bucket. And what bucket's that we want that color or formatting from? It's this one right here. Now when I say formatting, I'm not talking just about color. I'm talking about any other formats that's being applied to it, like the alignment. You see where that's right aligned, the label, and total inventory has got no alignment. So when I use the paintbrush, it's pulling all formatting that's in this bucket, as it were, or this label. So with it selected, come up here to click on the brush so it dips it in that bucket of formatting. And you can see when I move my pointer around, I get the brush. Well, it's got a brush with a line through it because on the grid it's like, hey, you can't click here. Oh, all right. But you can click on this label here. So when I click on it, there you go. Two things that happened. It applied the color and also applied the, well, right alignment. Okay, so far so good. Next, let's go ahead and write our expression in this unbound text box and make it bound to our expression. That will add up in stock and on order. So we can go ahead and double click on the border. And then up here on the Alt tab, okay, what's the name of it? Well, it's the text box. So it's going to be text box for our total inventory. Hit enter. So that's my name here in the design view. And then the control source, well, we're not going to have it pulling data from another field. We're just going to click in here and start typing in our expression. But if the expression's kind of long and it may not all be seen within this field here because it's only yay big, you can go ahead and stretch, the property sheet and get more space, or just leave it as is and right click on it and zoom in so it opens it up, and wow, you get more space here, right? Okay, let's go ahead and write our expression. Type in equals, open square brackets, and then the name of the fields. First of all, the first field in the first set of brackets, which is in stock. And then close square brackets, and then we want to go ahead and say plus, and then open square brackets, the on order, and then close square brackets, and that's it. Now, it's not case sensitive when it comes to the expression. As you can see down below, in stock, it's uppercase I and uppercase S. I didn't type it in, so will it accept it? Of course it will. It's not case sensitive, or for on order either. In any case, when we're done, go ahead and click Okie dokie. You can see it's right there. Be sure to hit the Enter key, because upon exit, Access checks the work of the last field that we were in here, the control source, to make sure everything's grizzly. And if it likes it, well, we don't get any bugs or warnings that will pop up in front of us here. So let's go ahead and take it for a test drive and see if it actually adds up in stock and on order. Let's go ahead and right click and go to the print preview, and let's see, 80. Okay, wait a second. Let's check this out. See 30, C3 plus 5, carry the 1, denominator. Yep, that's 80 right there. Cool. So it works, but we don't have the color that we want. But we know how to go ahead and take care of that. We can right click and go to the design view and choose your weapon of choice. You can either go ahead and just, select one field that contains the color, or use the Format Paintbrush, but I'll just go ahead and do the label here. On the Alt tab, let's find the for color right there. Click and drag, Control C, and then select this. Come over here, Alt tab, looking for the for color, Control V as in Victor, hit enter, cool. And then, maybe we want to make these just a little bit closer together. And in fact, because the box is yay big and we're getting number, where does that number sit? In the middle of the box? Let's come up here, click on the Format tab, or when it pulls in the number, do we want it to align to the left-hand side so it's closer to the label? Yeah, I like that. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do left align. And let's go ahead and right-click on the tab, go to the print preview, and they're getting closer. That's nice. Hey, don't be shy. We want to make sure that we tie our label as close as we can to the number. In any case, how about if we go ahead and we add a line that breaks up these groups, so at the end of each group, before it starts the next one, we got a line breaker there. To do that, let's right-click and go to the Design view, and let's close out of the Property sheet. Come up here on the Design tab, go to the Controls group, and in the Controls, there's our line. Let's go ahead and click on it, and you get a plus, and with the line next to it, meaning that when you click, it's going to add a line, but let's click and drag. And you want to try to keep it as horizontal as possible, because if you start doing this thing, well, you see the line? That ain't going to work. And in fact, the line, the default, is transparent. So you won't be able to see it anyways. Like when I right click and go to the print preview, nothing. So let's right click, go back to the design view, After you draw your line, you want to go ahead and give it color. Let's do it well, I was going to say we can do it the same color as that, but we're in experimental mode right now. Let's just go ahead and double click on the border to bring it up here on the Alt tab. Well, by the way, if you want to select a line, there's the label for it, line 147. So I'm clicking off over here and I'm trying to click on the line. I can't get it. Well, you can click on the drop down arrow and it's sorted alphabetically. You go to the line, and it's the only line that we have. It's 147. So, you can say this is line 1. Select it and delete this and say it's line 1 because maybe you're adding more lines, line 2, 3, and so on. Whatever works best for you. Make sure you give it the name that you recognize. And so with line 1, let's hit the enter key to accept it. And then I'm looking for the border color right here. It's got no color. Let's go ahead and click on the build button so we can choose a color like red. And there's the color there. So let's go ahead and check it out. Right click, go to the print preview, and let's go ahead and change that. Right click, go back to the design view because, well, I'm trying to make a point. You want to make sure that your line is drawn straight, unless of course you want a diagonal, which, hey, now we know how to do it. Let's go ahead and hover over the top middle resizing handle until we can see arrows pointing up and down. Click and drag that down. And so we're shrinking the height, as you can see over here in the property sheet. It's height 0.166. Well, how far can we go to get down to where we just want a nice thin line? In any case, I think that's looking pretty good. So the height is 0. Will I be able to see that? I don't know. Let's right click and go to the print preview, and I am. Hey, that's nice, although it's kind of outside of its bounds here. Maybe I can go ahead and shrink it up so it cuts it right here and it ends about right there. Alrighty, let's right click and go to the design view. And you can hover over one of the end resizing handles and click and drag it in. And you want to make sure you don't do one of those things and start dragging it up, and so you get more thickness. And if you do, well, I say thickness, but actually not width-wise, but height-wise, then just come in here and type in 0 and hit enter. And you can get numerically with the width. If it's, not 6.33, you can get rid of all the 333s and just do 6 and hit enter. And let's get rid of the property sheet and see how that's looking. And it's cutting this guy off. We can't do that. Let's go ahead and put it down at the bottom here. Let me undo that because it's kind of nudging that down. Well, with it selected, I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to get it just, yay so. And let's see, it's aligned to the left-hand side. Maybe I need to bring it in more over here. Well, that's kind of hard to get, isn't it? So if I bring it in here, let's see, the height's wrong, so double click on the line to change the height back to 0. Close out. And so with the combination of the property sheet and my little free-handing, as it were, looks like we might have done it. So let's go ahead and right-click, go to the print preview. Hey, not too bad, except, hey, maybe we want to change the color. Again, right-click, here we go again. Design view, don't worry, I'm almost done. Let's go ahead and choose the color here for the in-stock. And it's 4 color, that's right. The border color is for the line. So the 4 color is this guy right here. Control-C to copy it. It's hard to select the line, so hey, how about if we click on the drop-down arrow and go right to it? Line 1. Oh, that's nice. And then the border color is that. Select it, Control-V as in Victor to paste it, hit enter, then go ahead and right-click, go to the print preview, and I'm sold. That looks nice. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.